What's up, guys? Zach Ginn here. We are live. Welcome to the Bags to Riches podcast. I'm your host, Zach Ginn, and in today's episode, I am with Mitzi here, and Mitzi is from Texas, and she is clearing over $50,000 per month in her real estate wholesaling business, and I am here to break down how she's able to do that, why she's just so good at wholesaling in her local market, and she's going to show you exactly how you can do the same exact thing today. Thank you so much for coming on today, Mitzi.
Thanks, Zach. Thanks for having me.
All right. So before we get into it, who are you and what real estate market are you in?
So my name is Mitzi Dayne. I've been wholesaling for about 5 years now. I started in the San Antonio market, and I'm mostly in the San Antonio market, but I recently moved to Houston, and I became a buyer's rep for a hedge fund down here that actually buys in San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, and everything. So it's a little bit about me. I'm a realtor, wholesaler. I rehab, and I do owner finance and flip. Flip is rehab, and rent is what I meant. Yeah. So what was the next question?
Yeah, I mean, what got you into real estate wholesaling?
Okay. So what got me into it? One day I was reading Think and Grow Rich Again, and I was thinking, why haven't I just done wholesaling full time, or real estate full time? I had done some stuff, and I was like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and go for it because it was a passion of mine, and I didn't want to go through life knowing I didn't go after it. So I just jumped in after reading the book for the second time.
Okay. And so what got you into like wholesaling? Because it's kind of a weird niche to get into.
Yeah.
Who kind of got you to drink the Kool-Aid to get into real estate?
Okay, so I was thinking I was going to flip because that's what most people hear about. So I found this mentor, and he was talking about flipping houses. So I went ahead and went to one of his seminars, and he talked about wholesaling, which I didn't fully understand yet. And he talked about flipping houses, and I signed up for his mentorship thinking he was going to teach me how to flip a house. And it ended up being wholesaling is what he was talking about. So he was a real estate attorney, and I learned how to wholesale from him, or at least the beginning part of it from him. And so I accidentally got into wholesaling, not knowing what was going on. And after paying for the mentorship, I was like, well, I might as well make the money back that I spent on this. And I did it, and it worked out really well. So I kind of stuck with it.
Oh, the old switcheroo there. We're going to teach you how to get into wholesaling. That's funny, but eventually it worked out. So you started in San Antonio. I mean, what made you make the switch there over from San Antonio to Houston?
Oh, family.
Okay.
I had a baby, and it was just easier, especially with COVID that happened. There wasn't really any daycares open. So getting family to help out so I could work.
Yeah. And so fast forward to now, I mean, obviously through this 5-year journey, where is your real estate wholesaling business looking like now, like numbers wise in Houston?
Oh, I haven't really started the wholesale itself in Houston. I was just starting to buy from people in Houston with the buyers as the buyer's agent, but my San Antonio one was the one that was still going. My numbers now, well, it's a little over 50,000 a month, or right at 50,000 a month. Wow. And it's just a combination of, I actually had a huge team at one time, and like 7 VAs. I had 20 people on my team, and I had an office, and I noticed a lot of inefficiencies that happen when you scale, and you eventually become like this manager who I felt like it was like more like a babysitting job, which I'm not saying anything bad about people that's working for you or anything like that. It's just you have to constantly be checking the numbers, making sure people are trained right, continuously going over training. And so it's a lot of training, a lot of hiring and firing whenever you get to that point. And I was like, you know what? I don't like this part. Yeah. So I scaled back and just started doing it as a one-man show again. And how I get to those numbers is I go after ones that most people don't go after. So it's more quality instead of quantity. I look for really targeted leads, and I go after those. So I don't have to spend as much time, and my time is more it's used better. And then I also teach people how to wholesale too.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to unpack here. So really quickly, huge congrats, 50K a month. I mean, you're definitely in the top 1% of the 1% of real estate wholesaling. So huge congrats to you there. The one thing I do want to talk about is there's so many people out there on YouTube, Facebook that says it's so cool and sexy to have all these employees, get the big office, get the big scale. I've done it. I was a victim of it. I've had the whole office set up, and the actual net at the end of the day, having a lean operation like I do versus having that the exact same, it's a lot less stressful. So
exactly.
Props to you. I mean, it's always a lesson. I think a lot of people like learn when they're trying to scale up or get more. I mean, it's huge props to you, but really to break down your wholesaling business, basically now when you went from that big operation to the leaner one, like what is it looking like now? And how did you transition from there to like a one woman show?
Oh, I kind of did it all of a sudden. Last year, May, I decided to shut down my office. COVID was pretty bad at that time between March and May of last year. And you had to prove you were essential, which I could have done that. But I decided just to go ahead and shut down the office because it was really no point. I'd rather people stay home. And then I thought about it and I was like, I really don't want to manage my complete office remotely either. And I, like you said about the net, I looked at my net that I was making with an office, a team and everything. And I was like, you know, I took the joy out of it just to do what everybody else says is the next step. And I'm not even making more money net wise than if I did it alone. Because I can easily make, you know, a nice amount per month without having to talk to, with the same amount of time it took me to manage people.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. So let's dive deeper into like the type of leads you're getting to now, because you're saying you're getting very more calculating your approach on getting these leads. So just so I understand this, so you're in Houston now, in San Antonio. So is it just you're the only person in the wholesaling operation right now doing it virtually?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now my best friend and I teamed up and we're partnering right now. So she's learning it from me and she's also taking my course and helping me with the course on the technical side of it. And so I help. And I usually team up with different people. So I found that if I teamed up with other people who have the same passion and same work ethic as me, I get further than trying to create a team of the same. People just work harder when it's their own business.
Yeah.
So what I do is I actually team up with other people. Like if there's a dispositions person I know or somebody that I've trained that started their own business, I usually go to them first and see if they have some buyers so I don't have to deal with that part. Or I'll be the one finding the buyers. And it's just like a collaboration. So a lot of my stuff now is just like filling in the pieces with people who are actually doing the work and love to do that section of the work. Because wholesaling has like 9 moving pieces, 7 to 9. So it's like, might as well just make it a lot easier and I don't have to train these people. So that's usually how I do it now.
Okay. And so what is your marketing looking like then?
It's, you know, so I'm about to put some money into some PPC.
Okay.
And some Facebook ads, which I've done Facebook ads in the past. But right now it's just mainly networking. The people that I've trained before or people that have known me in the business will come to me for different things. Like this morning I had somebody call me and he actually does PPC and he does like a marketing software. And he called me and he's like, Mitzi, I'd like to give you all my leads. We can lock it under your name, under the contract, and you can find the buyers, whatever needs to happen. And I've had this happen with a few lead generation people that'll send me their leads. So I just have to lock it up or they'll lock it up and I'll sell it. So it's, I think I'm rambling on a little bit too much, but that's kind of, so what, did I answer your question?
Yeah. I mean, you're getting a PPC. I mean, is that?
The marketing.
Yeah.
How much in market? So I don't spend anything right now on marketing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're just finding people.
Yeah.
Oh my
goodness. And I also have I have a course that my students will bring deals into. So I help out with a lot of their stuff as well.
Okay. And when it comes to the marketing, so I mean, you're basically skipping over a lot of, if people are bringing you deals, the acquisitions process. Are these deals coming to you already locked up?
Sometimes I help them lock it up. Actually, a lot of times I'm usually helping them lock it up or renegotiating the contract with them.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
And at these $50,000 months, I mean, what's the average deal margin looking like right now for San Antonio?
Oh, that varies. It really just depends on the location in San Antonio and what kind of distress, and if they've already have the house paid off, if it's inheritance or whatever. So my top leads, and I'll just share it, is I go for the code violation, I go for the burn list, and I also look at tax default, and I look for if the owner is deceased. So my favorite one is it's going to fit all of those. It's going to be vacant with code violation, with the tax default, and the owner's deceased.
Okay.
And yeah, so with that, it's a lot easier to go after those kinds of leads.
Okay. So let's say you pull the code violation. What do you do from there? Like, where are you skip tracing this, or are you doing mail? Like, what's the type of marketing you're going after from there?
Oh, okay. All right. So, and with those types of leads that I was talking about, you get bigger spreads. Usually I get bigger spreads. So I do have different people that'll do things for me. Like I'll teach like little parts of the business, and I'll have somebody that'll fill in the property research or do some of the people search. But I actually use, I do property research first to make sure it's somebody I want to call and make sure it's in the targeted leads that I go for. And then after doing that, I do skip tracing off True People Search or Family Tree Now. And if it's something that's like a really, really nice lead, like right now I'm going after one, which I think the wholesale fee is going to be huge on this one. Nice. The guy's in a nursing home, and we've had to pull the court records and everything. So trying to find that guy, we wouldn't have done it through a VA or through a regular skip tracing company. And I noticed my numbers hit about 80%, when skip tracing companies seem to be like more like 50% sometimes, even when they say 80%. So I do train a VA, and I have a VA trained. They actually go to a spreadsheet that I've started, and then a Google sheet, and then they come in every night and they'll fill in the phone.
Yeah.
And then from there,
go ahead.
The really targeted ones, I'll dive a little deeper with my own deeper research.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, True People Search, when I was starting out, that's all I used exclusively. It's a great one. Like for finding landlines or like older people, that is like my go-to one. So I 100% agree with you there. So it comes there. So you're doing your marketing well, and then the acquisition side. So what are some acquisitions tips or secrets that you can give to the audience today?
Well, your first phone call should be more about gathering information, so you know how to solve the people's problems, and let them talk for at least 5 minutes. If you ask enough questions and get them talking for over 5 minutes, usually they start opening up to you. Yeah. And knowing when to use sympathy and compassion and empathy whenever you're talking with the seller. There's a lot of psychology in it, and 2 books that I would recommend is How to Win Friends and Influence People. And actually that's a good one. And then Never Split the Difference. Yeah, and I think between those, you can do a lot better on locking up deals, because I think people, when they're thinking of a wholesale, they're thinking of how much money they can make, but how can you solve that person's problem? And how can you also make it a win for the buyer? And whenever you do well in that, you're win-win-win, you're going to do well in wholesaling. It's whenever you're only thinking about the money that you're not going to do so well, because you're going to be doing things you probably shouldn't be doing at times. And if you do good business, it'll keep going.
I agree with you there. I mean, my favorite tip I got from how to win friends and influence people is just say the seller's name multiple times. It triggers something in someone's brain where they're just like, I like this person. I don't know why. That little tip has helped me like hundreds of thousands of dollars, especially on my acquisition side, like when competing with other people. So I 100% agree with that. San Antonio is a pretty competitive market. I would have to say there's a lot of great people out there, a lot of multiple people making over 6 figures a year. Obviously, you're probably going to run into multiple wholesalers in San Antonio. So what tips could you give to someone when they got to deal with a little competition? Let's say I can just guess for code violations. There's probably multiple people calling that same person. How are you getting these deals over the other wholesalers?
Okay, so after I skip trace, when I can't find the person, that's when I go the next level and I find out where they work, where they live, where their parents live, where their kids live. I will find that person, almost like stalk them like a crazy ex. And those are the people I go after. So most of the time they tell me only one person's called them before me.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not, I don't have a lot of competition with the way I target people. But on the ones that I do happen to call and other people have already talked to them, I think you should always think about your competitive advantage in any business. Like, what do you have to offer that somebody else doesn't? How do you think differently? Can you add a little bit of yourself into the business? And me, I love to help people. So I like to give them a fresh start. So I don't just make it about the money. I explain to them why I have to get it at a certain price. And then I also explain to them how we can solve their problems and also get them a fresh start. I sell them on the idea that the hassle is no longer there for them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't sell them on the price. And I think that's an advantage. Even though wholesalers talk about being problem solvers, I see a lot that leave a lot of options. They don't, well, I have people call me because I do flips. And I have wholesalers call me and they just are straight to the point, like, hey, do you want to sell? I can offer you this much. And I'm like, you haven't even asked me any questions. It's just like right to it. And I think it's important to really understand the person and let them talk long enough so you can.
I could say it a million times. It's never about the house half the time, especially with a code violation. It's more about that person, their problem, while they got to the problem of the house. That's the number one thing I teach all of our acquisitions people is that I cannot agree with you more there. The other thing I think you mentioned that's pretty important there is empathy. Like you got to care about these people. Like like you said, these wholesalers, the other, like they don't care. Like I feel for these people when they're in bad situations, and it's a hard thing to teach. I know you teach people in wholesaling. How do you teach someone like to have empathy when there's these people like straight to the point?
Actually, our last class had that on the mindset section. So we teach mindset and we teach wholesaling because a lot of people are actually their own block. They're creating their own resistance, but they can blame the outside world as all they want. But empathy, sympathy, empathy, and compassion was what we talked about. And we showed them different scenarios where you would want to use one or the other. So sympathy is when somebody is truly toxic. You don't actually want to connect. And sympathy is when there's really no connection and you're looking at the person like, oh, I'm sorry, that's your situation, but I'm going to stay over here. Empathy is like you connect with the person. They're feeling at the same time. So you're at feeling it with them. And that's important when somebody has had a bad experience and they need some kind of connection, need to know that you understand their pain. Not everyone do you want to have that kind of connection with. Like I said, the sympathy, if it's truly toxic, you leave that disconnection there, but you still help them. And then compassion is whenever you can see what the person is going through, you've been through it, but you're going to come up and try to raise them up and say, hey, things can get better. I fully understand. You come from a place of empathy and compassion kind of, but you say you fully understand, and this is how we're going to help solve it. We're going to bring you up to a higher vibration, a higher energy level so that you don't have this hassle anymore. And so that's the compassion part, is you're keeping yourself at a higher, and I like call it higher vibes, than having to meet somebody down here. Yeah. But it doesn't mean you think they're down here. You're like, hey, it's good. And you're holding in a space for them to come up here. And does that make sense?
Oh, no, I get it. I get it.
Okay.
I don't explain it like that, but it's the same way that I kind of look at it. It's interesting, that connection, sympathy, empathy. I didn't really think about it like that, but I kind of always explain it like there's caring about someone, saying it's bad, but versus actually like feeling it in your soul. So I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, and so we actually gave them examples of scenarios so they understood which one, and we teach it.
Okay. And I mean that, guys, you make sure you write these notes down. This is some important stuff. But the next part here is, obviously, this is the one you're pretty good at, is the disposition side and actually selling these deals. How are you doing that?
Oh gosh, I think it's such an easy thing to do. So you have to be really persistent. Even if you've got a good deal, people have to know about it. Some people are like, well, if it's a good deal, it sells itself. Well, if you never tell anyone, nobody knows. So I don't just stick with a buyer's list. Some people just stick to their buyer's list. But what I do almost immediately is I'll post something on Facebook because I'm all about growing my buyer's list. Even if I know somebody's going to buy it, if I call them, I'll just go ahead and do that just to build it. I'll do a few vague ads also on Facebook, like who 208, who buys rentals in this area, so I can start building a buyer's list also that may be interested in this property. And then I do a Craigslist ad, and that is done in the morning, in the at lunch, and then in the evening, and then right before going to bed. And I usually have a VA that does that kind of stuff, or I'll have somebody I'm training do that kind of stuff. And then there's usually so many buyers after just doing that. And then I also go to Facebook groups that I can do sales posts in, and I pick at least 10 groups to send it over to. And only 10 at a time, or you will go to Facebook jail. Yep. But I'll do that, and I usually go for the yard sales, and it just depends. So the way I look at it, before I do all that, but I'll do it in targeted groups. So it depends on what the deal is. So if it's like a mobile home, or if it's land and not a regular house, you don't just send any kind of deal to everybody. I don't think being a good dispositions person, you do that. You actually divide it. Hey, this deal I think is great for you. You need to check it out. I just emailed it over to you. And then text your buyers. Buyers are busy. And I also buy, so I understand. Sometimes somebody will send me a great deal, but I'm out of rehab and I don't have time to look at it right then and there. And I like to follow up. So you want to make sure that they would be interested in that. And you also have to think like the buyer. Is it something you can get excited about? If you can get excited about that in one way or another, you can sell it. If you have no emotion behind it, people feel it. So like whenever you're like, oh my gosh, you got to check this out. And somebody's like, yeah, it's not in the right zip code, but you should see the net profit you can make on this. And look how easy it is. Just check it out. Let me know what you think. And if you really know your buyers and know they're really after the net income or the net profit, then you may be able to sell them a deal they normally wouldn't be able to sell. As long as you know your buyers and you think like a buyer when you're getting the deal, it's easy to sell it. And you think about, where would my buyers be? Some may be like at the gas station. Some may be at networking events. But I usually talk loudly on my phone to somebody when I'm talking about the deal. If I'm in a gas station or if I'm in a restaurant, I know that may be obnoxious, but I usually have people come up to me and say, hey, I may be interested in that. Can I give you my phone number? I'm like, sure. And then I also go to foreclosure auctions and make flyers of the properties that we have under contract. And we'll hand out flyers to all those people because there's buyers. I mean, they're right there. Why not take advantage of that? And anything like that, I'll go to. So it's just getting your name out and really marketing really well. And then when you have the property and you've got your buyers list built up finally, it's knowing which ones would be interested in that property and letting them know about it right away. And then follow up.
Okay. So Mitzi
I gave a lot of stuff.
Mitzi just said go to foreclosure auctions. I'm gonna give you a quick story really quick. When I started out when I was 17, I went to as many auctions as possible. And every time I went there, they're usually on Saturday mornings and like 4 peers. I would run out there. I'd get like 15 cash buyers and like 4 realtors with cash buyers. Did that for like every single week. Like you kind of brushed over it, but that is like huge. That is one of the easiest ways to do it. And you get to meet these people in person. It's absolutely killer.
Oh yeah.
The one question go ahead.
I also scour Facebook groups for other people that are selling deals and take the buyer's information from underneath there too and reach out to them.
Definitely. The one question I have for you is, I've been in wholesaling for 4 years. You've been for 5. This might seem like a stupid question, but I want the people like just complaining about cash buyers to know this. What is it easier, do you think, now today in 2021 to sell a deal in San Antonio than it was 5 years ago?
Oh yeah, deals are flying off the shelf.
100%.
There's just not enough for them.
So you guys watching this is saying it's so hard to sell your deals. It's getting easier and easier to sell your deals. I mean, the one thing you did say there about like a gas station or something, I agree. I'll be in a Starbucks or something like working, just get out of my environment. I'll hear someone talking about real estate. My eyes and ears like perk up for a real estate deal. So that's a huge one too. But thanks for like giving some of that knowledge there. I mean, cash buyers, it's a fun one. So the next question I have about cash buyers here is, I don't need to reveal this, but obviously you probably have like your top 3 cash buyers that have bought the most amount of deals. Your top cash buyer, don't reveal them. I don't want people from San Antonio seeing this, but how did you find that specific cash buyer?
I think it was just from posting on Facebook. Yeah, he actually became one that was interested in doing private lending and was talking about teaming up eventually too. So private cash buyers are awesome.
Wow, that's crazy. And then in some of your deals, do you do any like agent referrals if it's a deal that needs to be with an agent?
Always. I actually, so in my, whenever in my acquisition script, that's part of it, is this deal may not be the best fit for us either. So we just want to make sure it's a good fit. And if it's not, we can refer you to a realtor. And I'll have people be like, no, I'm not going under this amount, even though I've explained why I need it for this amount. I'll be like, okay, well, I can get you with a realtor if that would be better, because you may want to do that instead. We usually help people that are more distressed and need to get out of it. So if you don't, you can wait for more money. You should probably list on the market. And they'll be like, no, I don't want a realtor. But it's the moment you start walking away from a deal that it's kind of like when you chase a dog, the dog runs away. But the moment you turn around, the dog starts chasing you. So I keep that a little bit in the acquisitions part of it. And that way I know, do they really want to use a realtor? And if they do, yes, I refer them to a realtor, and I have a realtor fee split like worked out with those realtors.
Perfect. What are some tips for someone watching this if they're trying to get with a realtor here? Because I was a 17, 18-year-old calling realtors and them telling me what I'm saying is illegal. It's terrible. That can never happen. What are some tips you can give on actually getting that? Because we make a pretty good, someone's solid, a very good salary just from realtor referrals for wholesaling leads. They're just absolute terrible. What are some tips you can give for finding a realtor that's open to doing that?
I think this tip goes for anybody you want to work with. Add value. Yeah. Figure out what their problems are and add value there. Ask them, hey, where are you coming into problems that you would like some help in? And if they're like, well, I'd like more leads. Well, as a wholesaler, I'm like a huge lead generation company, and I can't take all the leads that come in because some are retail and I need a realtor to pass it on to. Would that be something that would interest you? Why would a realtor say no to that? And then also, those listings that you see and you want them to fix it up, but they don't, and they don't have the money. Let me handle that. Still get it under contract, but I'll tell you how much I can do it for, get the listing agreement, and I'll go ahead and put it under contract, and I'll buyers. And so just let me know if you want somebody that's feet on the ground to sell your listings for you, like right away. Or sometimes realtors don't want to be known as the realtor that's selling the $50,000 got a gunshot in the side of the house kind of home with fleas and all that. They'd rather not do that. So if somebody really needs to sell that house, I can help you. I'll be feet on the ground. You don't have to get bit by fleas. You don't have to worry about, locking your doors. I'll take care of those properties for you. So you can make more money if you work with me as a realtor and myself being a wholesaler. Also, I have lenders that you've probably never heard of that will help your clients out. We can, there's things overlap in our businesses that we can help with each other on.
Yeah, definitely. What's the splits looking like for you on those?
So it depends. So I became a realtor, so my splits could be bigger. Yeah. So it's more like 50-50 now. Before that, I was considering myself a marketing consultant that they hired me so I could get a little more than just what they can give out. So it's like I worked for them, and that would be like a 25% fee.
That's pretty good. Mm-hmm. And do you do any like creative financing at all either?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll do owner finance. Sometimes when I get a lot under contract, if I can get it for like $5,000, which some of these like burn houses are like that, maybe 5 to 15,000, but I know I can sell it for 25. What I do is I will collect, I'll even say it's owner finance, and I'll say 5,000 down plus closing costs. So it completely even at closing, and then they send me $1,000 a month until it's paid off.
Nice.
And yeah, it's really awesome. And then like I just did a wrap on a house and owner financed that too, and it was like that one. It was a really good. It was $115,000 profit that I made on that one, and like that was pretty nice. And so yeah, definitely. Anytime I can take advantage of making a deal of creative finance, I do that.
Okay. And doesn't Texas have like some different like creative financing subject to laws than the rest of the country?
I don't know if Texas does,
Okay.
because I don't know what the other states are like. I've stuck in Texas, so I'm not sure how it's different than the other states.
Okay.
But I do know that if I use an RMLO, so I can be in regulation.
Okay. Perfect. And can you explain that for the audience that doesn't know what that is?
Registered mortgage loan originator. So they make the loan, and they can even do something called a QM loan, where it's a qualified mortgage. So they look at the person, I guess they kind of look at their credit and their background and their income, and then they'll make it a qualified mortgage so that you can actually sell it like on paper stack as a note to sell later on if you wanted to. This one I created 2 notes, so I could sell one on paper stack, and then the other one I could just keep cash flowing.
Perfect.
But yeah, so I do the. If you use that in a third-party service company, like August REI is like a third-party service company, you use those 2, you're usually pretty good.
Okay. And you keep talking about burn houses here. Are those fire damage properties?
Yes.
Okay. And how are you finding those deals?
Under the fire department in your city, you can request fire records.
Oh, wow.
That's usually free with the Public Information Act. Sometimes the city will charge you a fee, but it's usually free.
Okay.
So I just pull it directly and ask for the records.
And are you having any troubles with them? Like with code violations, I'm not calling myself an expert, but I fought with them a lot, and I finally get it emailed to me.
Mm-hmm.
Do they fight you a lot? Do you have to get the FOIA Act? Do you have to enact it with them? Like how are they usually with it?
San Antonio was easy, but I teach students nationally, so some of them it has been harder for them to get that. So we've worked with the city, and so it is harder in different states and different cities. Yes, and you do have to work a little more. But what's weird is the ones that we notice you need to work a little harder. They have everything, including the property research, like all downloaded as an Excel that you just need to download to your computer when you find that area of the website. So you have all the properties right there anyways. But like we found that in St. Louis and Savannah, Georgia, and in Arizona, same thing. But yeah, so the ones that seem harder, it seems like there is a huge list somewhere on the website.
Yeah, I mean they could fight me a lot, but yeah. So that's some great information there. Obviously, we want to get some people in here. So if you got any questions for Mitzi, put them in the comments. We'll pull them up and she'll answer them. But last couple of questions before we get that going there is, first of all, we actually have a large amount of women actually subscribing to our YouTube channel, which is awesome. I don't think there's a lot of like coaches out there that are women doing the amount of like deals that you're doing. So I definitely had to get you on here. But there's a lot of women watching this, and obviously I can't speak on their behalf because I'm a male here, but what advice could you give for a young woman watching this, wanting to get into real estate wholesaling? They might not have a lot of money or any direction. I mean, what would your advice be to them?
Know why you want it. Woman or man, I think it's know why you want to do this. And I like to get the end game in mind. What's your ideal day look like, and how does this play a piece in it? And figure that out. And then also there are going to, I mean, as a woman, there are certain things that hasn't quite changed, but it is changing right now, where like if I'm in a group of other wholesalers that are all men, if a man walks up, he'll shake all of their hands except for mine. And there's stuff like that happens that I think it's unintentional. I think it's just the way they were raised and they don't notice it. It's very unaware. Because I've noticed that, because it's the same guy that'll talk equality will be the same one that does that. But I think anything like that, don't let it get to you. It's not, I really don't even think they mean it. And if they do mean it, whatever. I mean, they had a closers Olympics and they had no women on the panel. And then they have like all these like, oh yeah, the best wholesalers in the world are going to come speak. And it's just all man panel. And I'm like, I know there's good women too. So at times you'll be like, wow, there's not a lot of support, but there is. There are women real estate investor groups. I think sometimes those are so supportive and great. Become a part of that and pick people around you that can support you.
Definitely. I've never heard of that before though. I'm not shaking the hand. I got to get more real estate like meetups because I haven't been to a lot lately. So that's crazy. Okay. So let's get some questions on here. I know a lot of people in the Wholesaling Houses for Real group were pumped up for this one. So Jamel says, love this. Thanks for the interview, Zach. Sweet, sweet, sweet. So Maine, Too Rich asks, got one question. Do you need an LLC for virtual wholesaling?
No. An LLC, talk to a lawyer and talk to your CPA, really. I'm not giving legal or finance any kind of advice like that, but an LLC is there to protect your assets. If you don't have any assets, what are you protecting? I wouldn't get that until you've at least done a deal, because I see a lot of people get the LLC, get the business cards, get the website, and they never even make a deal happen, and then they're over it like 2 months later. So like, try to go for a deal first, and you're really just a pass through anyways, because you're doing and/or signs. But of course, there's ways that you can be held liable. Just make sure you fill in the contract correctly, and that's where getting to know real estate attorneys is going to be important, and the ones who understand wholesaling, because just like doctors, attorneys, everybody, they specialize in different things and their experiences in different things. Attorneys are big researchers. That's what they were taught to do, is pretty much do research. So pick ones that know wholesaling and tell them what your idea is, and they'll let you know if you need an LLC or not. I didn't have an LLC for the first 7 months, and I had already made over 6 figures in the business. I didn't get this LLC until after I did like 15 deals. I wasn't sure how it was going to work out, and it worked out. So you don't have to have that. But I would say if you're going to do virtual wholesaling, know your area. Get good data in that area. Team up with realtors too in the area and other wholesalers.
All right. So Alex says, congrats. 50K months is where I want to be. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Let's see. You do the same as me. Went from a bigger operation, then scale back to focus on harder deals with better margins. That's great to hear. All right. Let's see. Great way to operate. Margaret asks here, where is your market? So is it San Antonio, like exclusive right now?
So as a buyer's agent for the hedge fund, I'm in San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, and Houston, and even in a few different states as well. We're buying 300 houses each market. And then my wholesale side, I did just close a deal in Houston, but it's San Antonio and Houston mostly, and then some of Corpus Christi on the wholesaling side.
Nice.
And my largest wholesale fee was right outside. It was in a smaller city. And something I've noticed, so you guys know, a little gold nugget, sometimes those smaller cities have some really large assignment fees attached to them.
100%. How much was that wholesale deal?
That one was, it was a $400,000 assignment fee.
What? Holy moly.
Yeah.
400. What was the purchase price and the sales price on that?
I got it under contract for $800,000 and I sold it for $1.2 million.
Holy moly. Was this like a single family property?
No, that was apartments, 26 unit. I think it was 26 units. Yeah.
Wow. Huge congrats. How did you find that deal by chance?
It was on Loop. I called the guy, realized he didn't know what he had, and I was like, can you take this off the market after I signed the contract? And he did. So after he did that, I went ahead and posted it on Facebook and found my buyer.
So it was on market in the beginning?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, wow. Where do you, where would that even, that wouldn't be on Zillow. Would that be on like LoopNet or something?
Mhm.
Wow. Jeez. I got to switch up my marketing. Wow. Margaret asked here, sorry, use True People Search. And then what was the other one?
Family Tree Now.
Okay.
.com.
Okay. FamilyTreeNow.com. Okay. RK says, so awesome, guys. Justin Long says, what's up?
Hey, Justin.
Sorry. Main Too Rich really quick says, if you can go over code violations really quick. So how are you pulling your code violations?
So, and a few other cities have it online. So you can go to Google and type in your city code violations or open records request. So you may want to start out with open records request first, and that should be under code enforcement that you're going for. And you request a list of the properties for a certain amount of time. So I would go back, if it's your first time, go back 6 months. If you then do it month after month. San Antonio has a link where you can sign up and get them to your email every time they have a new one. Other cities are different, like Houston doesn't have that set up. And then, well, after I get those code violations, usually it takes 2 to 3 days if you have to email them. If you don't get it by that time, just make sure you call them, code enforcement, and asking them if, how long do you need to wait? Me, it's usually 2 or 3 days when we had email, but San Antonio actually added it to the public library under open records request because that was requested so often. But most cities, you do have to still do an email request.
Okay.
And on code violations also, you sort for dangerous premises. This is important because you can have like 15,000 code violations in one city. You're not going after every single one of them. So you want to go after the code violations that vacant, they're securing a vacant structure, or it's something about overgrown vegetation, anything like dangerous premises. And those are the ones that you're going to sort for. And then I actually, after sorting that, do the property research to see how many are they back taxes. And I have a way to do like a portfolio search. So it only takes me a few minutes to get everybody's back taxes off that same spreadsheet.
Perfect. I mean, don't give out your secret sauce yet. I mean, obviously you have courses and stuff for that. We'll talk about that a little later, but you got some secret sauce here, and there's a lot of people that got pumped up for me putting you on here. So this is exciting. Lionel says she's the real deal. Formerly in her group on Facebook, closing my own deals now. She hustles hard.
Thank you.
Devon says lease option is different in Texas. All right, cool. What's up? Carl wants to know, how many VAs do you have?
I used to have 7, but now I just have 1 that I'll send things to. And I was thinking about getting a new one. Actually, my partner hired a second one, and they data mine the cities for us.
Okay, cool.
So only 2, I guess. That's like 1.5.
All right. And where did you find these VAs?
I don't know how she found hers. I think it's with a company she used to work with. They used to use some. So I think she got that one off of just some connections she had. But I found a lot of my VAs through Upwork. And then if you ever do some traveling, like to Colombia, Mexico, any of those places, you can actually meet people in person and figure out where you can go for the cheapest labor. Because there's people getting VAs for $7 a day. I mean, it's totally possible.
Wow. That's insane. Are you having a problem do you have like a lot of Spanish speaking only sellers in San Antonio?
Yes.
And how are you dealing with those leads?
I usually have somebody that used to be on my team that would be speaking Spanish. Like my assistant would be able to speak Spanish, and then one of my acquisitions and dispositions person could. But now what I do is I actually still go to my old dispositions person that spoke Spanish and ask her to do it for me, and I'll give her like a fee for if I'm able to close on it. So that's what I'll do, or I'll reach out to one of my friends who I also trained in the business, and she'll speak Spanish to them too.
Awesome. Awesome. So, Jay Thomas wants to know, what's the best dialer to use?
I've used three kinds. I've used Mojo. Uh, what is the other one? I think it's ZenCall. And then I've used Red X, and I think I dialed right off of that. I guess I would say ZenCall was the best. Mojo seems to have a little bit of a lag whenever people answer the phone, so you don't hear the first time they say hello, and some people will hang up by then.
Yeah. All right. And let's see here. You're getting a lot of questions because I mean, there's a lot of people on here. Chloe wants to know what did your very first beginner workflow schedule look like as far as staying organized and being efficient?
Oh, I worked really hard. So I put a lot of hours in. Getting up about 6:30, and this is when I did everything the hard way. I didn't know about any apps. I didn't know about any of that. Okay. So I'll give you a few tips of how you can avoid what I did. But I get up about 6:30 and I would map my driving for dollars list. And that was done like by hand by looking at Google Map and seeing which one looks like it would be. So I did not optimize the route correctly. You can now optimize through Google Maps or through Road Warrior. And then about 8 o'clock, I would go ahead and make the list, and then I would look at anything that Craigslist, Facebook. I'd be looking at how other people were putting their ads as wholesalers, so I could get better and better at how I would do my ads. And then I'd also interact in Facebook forums and groups and all of that. So I did that from like 8 to 9. And I'd also check out Redfin and see what was going on in LoopNet. So I wanted to see, was there where the houses were selling. I was getting to know what the market looked like, how long the houses were staying on the market, for how much are they really selling for. And then about 9 o'clock, I would leave and I'd do driving for dollars for about 3 hours. From noon to 1, I would make it back home. I'd eat lunch. Wow. At 1 o'clock, I would do the property research. And then after doing all the property research at 1 o'clock, I would go ahead and start people searching while I was calling and texting. And then about 6 o'clock, I would start writing my handwritten letters to everybody. And what I did is I just take a white piece of paper and say, hi, my name is Mitzi. I drove by your property and it appeared vacant, and I'd like to make an offer. If you're interested, please call or text or email me. And if not, didn't mean to bother you. Have a great day, Mitzi. And I would copy that with yellow notebook paper in the copy machine, and I would do it with blue ink. So when I copied it, it looked like I wrote on all these yellow notepad papers with blue ink. And then I would handwrite the envelopes, put a regular stamp on it, and then mail it off if I wasn't able to reach that person that day. So I would hit them with text message, email, phone, and I would handwrite a letter to them all that day. And then I would start over again the next day after that. What I would do, so it was every other day. I had like A-B days, I guess. So the next day, what I would do, and at the end of the day, I would plan my next day. So then the next day, I would go ahead and I would look at like Go Section 8 for landlords. I'd call the landlords. I'd call realtors, start developing my networking. I'd call hard money lenders. I do a lot of networking, and then I would follow up with sellers that I tried calling the day before and anybody else that I needed to follow up with. And then I would see if there was a networking event that I could go to. Usually I try to hit like 3 networking events a week. And that really helped grow my business a lot faster. And then the next day, start over again, doing the whole driving for dollars, calling, letters. And then on Friday nights or early Saturday morning, putting out bandit signs and trying to figure out where the best place was to put bandit signs that wouldn't be picked up immediately, and do that. Just keep going.
Wow.
I worked a lot, but it was definitely worth it. I learned a lot along the way.
Wow. I mean, if someone's telling me that like they're trying everything, I doubt they're doing what you were doing, starting out to get ahead in this business. I mean, how many hours is that a day?
it was about 12 to 16 hours a day that I was actually working on the business. You got to get the momentum going, and it's like a snowball. As long as the momentum going, it's going to keep on growing and growing. The moment you stop it, it starts falling apart. And so you got to keep your momentum going if you really want something. And, like however much effort you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. And at first, yeah, I think I did spin my wheels a little bit because I was focused on the wrong things. I didn't fully understand what produces and what didn't. And then I'd also notice there were certain areas that I didn't want to do. So I would like bottleneck myself there and do something else and realize I wasn't being productive because I was trying to avoid what I really needed to do. But as far as staying organized and efficient, Chloe, I see that side too. I realized I didn't answer that. I used a Google Sheet for all my leads, and I'd organize my leads, and then I'd move it over to the Google Sheet. So I had them all in one area. And then I had a color coding system of which ones I needed that were super hot, warm, and cold. And then we had an idea of how often we follow up with each one of those. And beside it would be, added task. And in the notes would be, called this day, text or emailed, and sent direct mail. And I also did it at this time. So if you called at a certain time, you notice this person never picks up at that time, change the time you're calling them and texting them. So I would also put the time. And so it was a lot of color coding and a lot of notes in different areas. So I could filter and be like, which ones need to be called today? Filter out the column and then just see all the ones that need to be called today. And it actually worked really well, because then also my VA could work off of it and add more numbers if we needed him to start people searching the relatives. There was just a lot of things it could go with. So I actually used Google Drive as much as I possibly could. And I built a Google site that I could put all my leads, the lead worksheet in, all my systems, what the passwords were, everything that I needed in one area. So Google site is something that's really cool. It's almost like your own little website that's free. And I made it look pretty for my acquisitions, dispositions. And for me at first was just my own little operational thing with everything in one place. So it helped me stay organized. And I also used Google Calendar a lot. So everything was free that I used. It worked really well.
I live by my Google Calendar, so I can attest to that. So, wow, that's amazing. So let's see here. Looks like someone from the group says this. What's your method for making an offer to a seller? They just switched into San Antonio today.
Well, it depends on in the information gathering stage, in the very beginning of the conversation, like how I should make the offer. So I listen to what they need, and then I add in what the solution would be. Like, hey, so you need some moving, you need help moving, you need help finding a new place, you may need some storage, and it sounds like you may need some help on your first month's rent. So this is what we can do for you. We can do all of that. And I understand that your price was $150. I looked in the area and the highest is $150, but that's when the house is fully fixed up. Me as an investor, I have contractors that are willing to do the work a little less, a little cheaper. So my cost would be about $35,000 to get your house where it's that $150. But I also have to cover my holding, my closing costs, and the rehab, and still make some kind of a profit out of it. So I would have to offer, if it's 35 and you're at 150, I'd have to offer you less than the 35 plus the closing costs, and then it brings us down to 80,000. What we can do is we can close as soon as you need us to, or if you need to wait, just let us know. And I usually ask them in the information gathering how soon they need to close, and then we can do all of this other stuff for you, and you don't have to worry about this house ever again. What do you think? I actually don't say what do you think. I'll just be like, are you computer literate, or do you have email, and would you be able to sign something online? And usually I'll see what they say. Like, I don't say computer literate. I'll say, are you able to sign something online, or you have an email? And then they'll tell me if they do it, and I just assume the closing. I explain how closing is going to go, and then I go from there. Some will be like, oh no, that's too little. That's not enough. And I'll be like, okay, so what are you needing the money for? See if I can get down to it. And then If they're like, well, I wanted to pay, that's none of your business or whatever, I'll be like, okay, fair enough. Well, I do have a realtor that I can refer you to. And have you thought about fixing up the house yourself? Because I can send you some contractors also to help you out. And I usually offer them some value anyways and still follow up with them and continue.
Wow. I mean, that's a great pitch. I mean, you can't go wrong with that one. Wow. Okay. And Chloe wants to know here, what's the name of your group?
All you need to know about wholesaling.
Sweet. So if we just search that, it should all you need to know about wholesaling.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. All right. Colleen says, "Heck yeah, let's have a best woman wholesale Olympics." I love it.
I like that too. We were talking about that this morning, my partner and I.
Get it done. Get it done. Let's see. Steve wants to know any tips for someone licensed who does cold calling for wholesaling.
As long as you're not putting your realtor hat on right away, you don't have to. You do want to tell them that you're a realtor. You have to disclose that. But in the very beginning, you're just gathering information. In my script, it's all about, hey, I'd like to buy the house. Do you have a few minutes to answer a few questions, and going into the information gathering side of it. And then if it seems like a deal that can be done, I'll let them know, I'm a licensed realtor. In this transaction, I'm not acting as one, so I'm not going to be representing you or representing a buyer or anyone else. It's just me and you as an individual doing this. So, and that you need to disclose as much as possible. Yeah. Usually I'll have them sign something too. CYA all the time, especially in wholesaling.
Okay.
If they do business with you, I have them sign something.
That's good. Always protect yourself. I'm not licensed, so it's good you can talk on that behalf. Brandon says, Mitzi, we're actually Facebook friends. I've seen your growth. Congrats a bunch. That's awesome. Guys, you should definitely, even if Mitzi has over 5,000 friends, you should at least follow her. Like, she gives some great stuff, great content. So huge thank you to you too. You got some gems on your Facebook. Those lives you do, they're great. Let's see here. How do you find? Let's see. So one guy, if I had a $400,000, I would retire for 2 months. Let's see. Raypreneur asked a really good question here. If you were wholesaling that for $400K, I think you said you had it locked up for $800. Did you have proof of funds that you showed the seller?
The way I talk on the phone with apartment brokers, I've never had one of them ask me for proof of funds. And I usually have to go in and save somebody's deal where they already have not started off right and they're being asked for proof of funds. And what happens there is I tell them, look, we put partners together to buy the deal. So this isn't something where we're going to send you proof of funds of like different bank accounts. What we can do is cover the earnest money, and we can also send you a bio of what we have done or what we have closed on. And if you have previous buyers, I had a apartment mentorship that I did, and my mentor was like, here's a bio, and you guys can kind of piggyback off my experience since y'all are my students. And so I'll send that. But on this one, I didn't have to do any of that. It was just the way I asked the questions, and I took for the conversation. So whenever I'm on the phone with sellers, they'll think they have control because they're answering all my questions, but he who asks the questions has the control. Yep. And so I ask enough questions where I don't even let them really go to that. And if they do, I go back around to, yeah, so send me the contract and send me the financials here, and we'll go from there. And I usually focus more on their problems, and I usually don't have them ask for proof of funds. It's because of how you speak.
Yeah. I've never been asked for proof of funds once from a seller, and countless hundreds and hundreds of deals. It's definitely the way you approach it. Justin says, thank you for bringing so much value. I've seen you on this guy's Zoom and now the Bags Riches. What's a good place to follow you?
Facebook. You can follow me on there, and then you can check out my group, All You Need to Know About Wholesaling.
Okay. Guys, we're getting a lot of questions. Some of these questions Mitzi kind of went over in the beginning. So if you want, at the end of this, it would show the full replay. This will be on the Flip with Rick and the Zach Ginn YouTube channel, so you can watch it back. A lot of questions like where you're getting the VAs from, how to compete. Mitzi went over that. Let's see. Devin says, with probate leads, how do I get the recent cases, or should you do the older ones when it comes to probates?
Probates can take longer to close because they have to be probated.
Yeah.
So 6 months old may be better, but try what works for you. Things are different for everybody. Sometimes it doesn't have to be probated.
Okay. And Steve here asks, does Mitzi have a wholesaler's cold calling script for someone who's licensed? Do you have that in your course?
I do talk about it in my course. I just tell them to add a sentence in there, but I do have an acquisition script. But with my realtors, I just tell them to also disclose that they're a licensed agent. I don't have that actually written in there.
Okay. And Andy says, hey, Mitzi, can't believe you made it on here. Just sent you a deal in DFW. Sweet.
Thanks.
All right.
Yeah, and if anybody has deals, I'm a buyer's agent for a hedge fund. So we're buying, and we buy at a really nice percentage, and we also close very quickly. If the title's already open and it's a deal, we can close in 24 hours. We do our own appraisals, so we don't have to send an appraiser out.
Okay.
And we take ones with tenants in there too.
Okay. So if I had a deal here in Texas or San Antonio, I wanted to send it to you, would it just be through Facebook?
Yeah. You can send it that way. I've created a Google form for people to send deals on, but I noticed that like half the people won't fill that out. So just send it to me on Messenger.
Perfect. Lorena says she's amazing. I 100% agree. One last time, the name of your Facebook group for everyone wanting to join it really quick.
All you need to know about wholesaling.
Perfect. Melanie says, finally a realtor wholesaler to learn from. We realtors have to be careful not to break the rules. Let's see. And this is a good question here because I know you're in Texas. Basically, is a state-approved real estate contract better, or can I get away with another one? I know you're in Texas, so it's I know they do like the TREC one. I'm not sure. So what are you doing there in Texas?
I like the state one. I have one that's used for national, especially since I have students nationally. So I'll use the national purchase contract for them, but I use the TREC one. It's a really good one to use.
Sweet. This is heavy duty, Mitzi. Well done, Zach. Please tell me when we can see the replay. Love this session, and thank you for always, Zach, bringing it. At the end of this, when this is over, you can go watch the replay for basically forever. No sleep. We got some goat emojis. Love it. I love it. Let's see here. Any last questions here? Good to know. So I really appreciate you coming on here. So what I want to talk about next was, obviously you said you have a course and you do mentorship. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. So we have a course. It's actually called the Most Complete Wholesaling Course Ever. And part of that course is a 12-week boot camp. And what we do in the first 4 weeks is we help you with the learning and the foundation of wholesaling. I find a lot of wholesalers skip that step, so they don't get deals consistently. They kind of get deals like in a lucky kind of way, like it's something that they can scale on or anything. And so we help you by building your foundation and teaching you in the learning phase the first 4 weeks. So there's a lot of role playing, learning how to talk to sellers, how to pull lists anywhere you're at with no money, how to get a complete business set up with no money. And then the next 4 weeks is execution and implementation. So this is whenever you've already set up the foundation. So you've already pulled your list. They're already skip traced. You already know how to talk to sellers. Then we let you go and start talking to sellers and start networking and doing everything you need to do to start getting contracts. And what I noticed with my students in this last course, they started locking up contracts, and we're in week 6 right now of the, and there's been 3 that have had contracts so far, and we have 10 in the group. There's some that aren't actively doing that yet. We're having to work on some mindset issues. And then, but we do work on mindset. So when we notice somebody isn't really wanting to make the calls or not wanting to do this, we're there with them. We'll even do like something called a power hour, where we will sit with you for an hour, just so that you can focus only on that and then ask us any questions. So then the last 4 weeks is setting up your business structure for consistent deal flow. So we help you start getting into the systems and hiring your first VA and how to dissect your first paycheck to build back into the business and also, give yourself something. And we'd have people who know how to scale and lawyers and CPAs during those last 4 weeks to help out.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's from beginner to the end. And I'm excited about it because I haven't ever seen something with so much information to teach you how to pretty much wholesale anywhere. If you drop you off anywhere naked and afraid, you can wholesale. And we're teaching people to come at it with a place of empathy and compassion and actually creating a win-win. So buyers actually start seeing deals again and sellers are actually getting help. And we can hopefully change the name for wholesalers into what the service we really offer people is a really great service. So, I'm excited about it and all the information it gives people.
I mean, there's a lot of course gurus out there that don't do any deals, but I always appreciate having someone that actually does the deals. And obviously, from the way you answer questions, I mean, you legit put the hours in to learn this business. So it's pretty cool. So the last two questions I got for you here is mindset. I think your mindset is absolutely amazing. I think it's a huge, critical component nobody really talks about in wholesaling. Obviously, I mean, you haven't had this course out for a long, long time, but what's the number one mindset issue you see with your students and how do you overcome that?
So, a lot of our blocks are also blind spots to us. Mm-hmm. We won't notice it, but we take up for it. So the ego will think that you're dying when you're supposed to make a cold call. So it'll make you feel sick. You won't want to do it. You're kind of fighting with yourself. You're like, I'm going to just do this instead. Or, you know what? I'm just too busy. You make an excuse. And usually I can tell when somebody has a block by how they speak. And if they're blaming something else besides themselves, it's a block. And so we explain that, and it's easier for an outside person to see where you're blocking yourself. So we actually talk them through it. But on the mindset, we brought in a little bit of Joe Dispenza, a little bit of law of attraction. We do some meditation too. But it's definitely needed, because I noticed the biggest part is whenever they're supposed to start calling people or they're supposed to start networking, some people get afraid and they don't want to do that. And it's really what it comes down to. What I've found is that there's some limiting belief or some way they self-identify as not being a winner, not being the person able to do it. It may be some self-confidence issues, or somebody told you when you were younger, money doesn't grow on trees, so you think you have to work your butt off to get some money. It's usually some kind of limiting belief that's stopping you from whatever you want. And you can already see, and this is something else I say in our classes, you can already see how you self-identify, because you created that world around you with your choices. No matter what you want to say, it's you that made all those choices, who to hang out with, what to do, what to focus on, how to respond. That's you. And your life is a reflection of you, the inside of you. And when you notice that you're not getting what you want, first off, do you even know what you want? Most people can't even answer what their ideal day looks like when I ask them that question. They don't know why they don't have the life they want, but they don't even know what it looks like. You got to know what you want. And also, why don't you have it yet? Why don't you feel you deserve it yet? Because you have everything you think you deserve, because you accepted it, because you thought it was at your level. So we talk through that, and usually it's getting down to somebody told them when they were a kid that they weren't smart, or somebody told them that they'd never be able to wholesale, or somebody told them this, and a part of them believed it.
Yeah. That's some powerful stuff right there. Wow. So last question I got for you here is, This is the Bags to Riches podcast. So I do ask the same question for every guest before we end this. Is I started out $300 as a bag boy, quit that and get into wholesaling. If you were back at, let's say you were 18 years old again and you were in San Antonio and I gave you $300, what would you do to become the next Mitzi Dayne?
I actually started in the hole, so I would go the way I already did it. I started driving for dollars. I pulled the code violation list, started driving for dollars. I would look up taxes, see which ones had the most behind, and then I would start calling everybody I could. Started with a homeowner, and then I would go after their kids or after their siblings. And I didn't stop until I found somebody. I never gave up on a lead. Even if they were like, I'm going to die in this house, I'll like look at their age. It's like, okay, they got about 20 years. That stays on the list. And I would go after the drive for dollars and just really go after those top leads that you see. When you see it with your eyes, make notes, make a lot of notes, and don't stop until you reach somebody and then keep following up. It's really in the follow-up. Even the people who say they're interested, you're still going to have to follow up with them too. So make sure you follow up 8 to 12 times. And I would continue to network. Find people you can help out and add value to. And that's what I would do. Network and drive for dollars.
I agree. I used to roll my eyes when I started out in this business. Everyone said fortune's in the fall up. I was like, yeah, okay. Until I started doing a lot more deals. And I'm like, this stuff's actually pretty real. Second part, I did that too. When someone said your network is your net worth, I rolled my eyes. The more and more money you make, the more you realize, especially in real estate. So this is all great information. I really appreciate you, Mitzi, for coming on today. This was action-packed. We got some great comments here. So everyone should just go see you and check you out on Facebook. You got your stuff there. I know your course links on there. So before we hop off here, do you have any parting thoughts to the audience?
Have a bigger why than wanting to do something good for your family or wanting to make money. That is a surface level reason, and you haven't really dug into your why if that's your why. And I hear that a lot of times, and that kind of why will have you giving up because you didn't really hit what really is your why. And it may be, and it really all has to do with you, not somebody else. It really does have to do with you. It has to deal with you wanting to feel better in some way. What is that and why is that?
100%. Thank you so much, Mitzi, for coming on. I really appreciate it. Some action-packed. I can't wait to have you on next year when you explain how you're doing millions of dollars per month. You're definitely an absolute go-giver. I thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Zach. Thanks for having me on here.